Hey, everybody, and welcome to American Groove. I'm your host, Dave.
And this is your other host, Carissa.
Yeah,
And
well,
I guess I'm the guest, Matthew. Hi, guys.
yeah, we have Chef Mathew Gray here, all the way from Hawaii, everybody. Okay, so get your luau's, get your Mai Tais ready because, honey, we are about to have a trip of your lifetime. And yeah, without further introductions, Mathew, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners? Yeah.
Absolutely. Dave, Carissa, thank you for having me. I'm Matthew Gray. I'm here in Hawaii. I'm a longtime chef. I'm endlessly curious. I've had a lot of entrepreneurial ventures in my life, a lot of wild stories, and I can't wait to share with you tonight.
Yes.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So first thing that I want to start off is I really haven't talked about this on this podcast. I have a food background and I really wanted to bring on another, a person that actually like, you do this for a living. I mean, crazy enough, you do this in Hawaii.
I did this for a living, but I don't
Oh.
any longer do
I was
chefing.
wondering,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Oh.
was like, is this something that you still do? I mean, you probably do it in your own way at your maybe more at your own pace these days,
I cook for
is my
friends
guess.
and family now, but throughout
That's
my
great.
career, up until 2004, when I opened up Hawaii Food Tours, and that's a whole nother story we can get to, but up until 2004, I was a chef for rock and roll bands and Hollywood celebrities and friends and family like you guys and that kind of thing. So the chefing world, the kitchen world is now behind me, which is pretty cool.
And we will, by the way, because I've read about this, we're gonna talk about Fleetwood Mac and Pink Floyd, okay, and all of this because, honey, me and Carissa, we are like old school rock and roll. Like, come on, honey, like when we put on,
Yeah, Pink Floyd's one of my favorite
oh, I love
bands.
Pink Floyd.
My first question that comes to mind is like,
It's,
did you get like Pink Floyd, Roger Waters, did you get them to try anything that they maybe wouldn't have tried before? Like a food that like they didn't know that they liked and you're like, "Oh, come on." 'Cause like sometimes people can be a little narrow-minded with like what they ask from someone else. And like I just wondered if you got them to try anything
You know,
new.
Carissa, that's a great question. I get everybody to do anything I want. So
Eee.
the
That's a little scary.
the history of my cooking, though, goes back to when I was just a little kid. I used to follow my mom around the kitchen, and I used our pet dog, Happy, as a step stool to see what mom was cooking on the range. And that was 150 pounds ago. But then I grew up and I left high school early to travel with the Eagles on their Hotel California tour. And that kind of
Mm.
revolved into then traveling with Fleetwood Mac and then Pink Floyd. And when I was traveling with them, I was traveling in a merchandising mode. And then after that, I became a chef. And yeah, I cooked for a lot of the bands that I had previously traveled with, along with, like I said, a lot of people in the entertainment world.
Mm.
people kind of tend to forget that there was a time in the industry when we're talking about music and we're talking about these rock and rollers and these famous pop stars. It was a different time. Their interaction with the world was more um existing. They didn't have the same problems that we had now. I will tell you this, like, because my uncle was a musician in the 70s. He's told me stories, and I've heard from other people as well. Like, it was kind of normal if you were in New York City to like bump into,
Hmm.
like the Ramones or something. I don't know. Like, it was just, it was part of normal life. So to have somebody like you that interacted with these people, and like Carissa brought up, is like having them try different foods and create different types of palettes and different things that they can try. It was just a whole different world that probably most of us today can't even relate to anymore.
You know, interacting with people is a whole lot different now. In the internet world than BC, which is before COVID. And back when I was with the bands in the 70s and 80s, that was a long time ago, and connections were different. It was much more high touch than it has become now, because now everybody is playing on their screens and their devices and this and that. So there's a lot less kind of face-to-face physical stuff, and the combination of the way that people used to communicate and the way that they are now is completely different.
Yeah, I mean, I complain a lot about that, but I don't have the outside perspective. I mean, I only have my time period that I've dealt with, but I,
Right.
I hate to be like, oh, it would be better in a different time when
Not
I don't really know, but I do,
right.
I hear from other people that the interaction probably was in a way more fulfilling.
It was pretty awesome being a kid right out of high school traveling with rock and roll bands. I was living that whole entire drugs, sex, and rock and roll phrase that you always hear about and have been hearing about your entire life. And so doing that was for me, it was like a normal thing, even though all my buddies and friends back home were doing whatever they were doing right after high school. And so my life was normal to me. That's the way that I was living my life. So I never kind of put myself up against other people. I am sure that everybody has had, interesting and fulfilling experiences for themselves.
Yeah, that's a very not narrow-minded way to look at it.
I mean, at the same
Yeah, it's
time, like,
open-minded. Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, though, you're like being the badass. Okay, you're like being the badass in the school because like you're like rebelling against like what everybody else wants to do. The thing about creation and creativity, and like you were saying about creating these deep types of connections, this openness, this vibe that you have with other people, it all stems, I feel from like a rebellious point. You're rebelling against the suppression of not being yourself.
Sounds like there was a question in there, my friend. And, there probably was a little bit of rebellion inside me, but I think more than that, I was just following my heart, doing what I wanted to do. And I learned early on who not to listen to. And I think that that was a big part of it. So it was more the rebellion. It was just like following my inner guidance.
Mm.
Do you find yourself as like a very passionate person?
Extremely so. Always
Yeah.
the most passionate person in the room, if I do
Yeah.
say so myself. It's like I'm that kind of type. I'm empath and a lover and a passionate person. I love stimulating and engaging conversation. That's why I'm here today. You guys have a great show, and I want to be a
Thank
part of
you.
you. I want to be a part of your world.
And well, welcome to our world. Carissa, we haven't even really like identified the world that we've created. Like
We got our stoner podcast here.
our stoner podcast.
Yes, it's a world. Lost in the groove. It's like you go get lost in the groove, and this is American groove. So come get lost with us.
I love the whole groove thing. And Chris, I can see that it looks like you're set up in your kitchen. And so that's a very comfortable zone for me. If I came there, I would make you my famous stuffed and dipped strawberries.
Ooh,
Stuffed and dipped strawberries. How does
ooh.
that work? I've heard of a dipped strawberry, but what's going on with
With the
stuffing a
stuffed. I
strawberry?
want to hear about the
What?
stuffed.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, Dave, you worked in kitchens for a while.
Yes.
And Carissa, the strawberries are one of 4 or 5 different gourmet, sexy stuffed finger foods that I used to sell to Trader Joe's. And
Oh.
the strawberries are split open and then stuffed with a combination of toasted coconut, whipped cream, marshmallow cream, and peanut butter,
Oh,
and then put
cool.
back together and then dipped into chocolate.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, like as a stoner, I'm like, oh, yum. Like that sounds
No,
amazing.
but the thing
So,
is also it's a really like okay, so he brings up an important thing.
yeah.
One thing you learn about in fine food is actually sex. Like the erotica of the dish. No, I'm serious because there's certain dishes that are supposed to give certain flavors. There's a certain palate, the way that you're serving it, how it's on the food. Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it hot? There's a lot of different elements that go into making the dish, and
Like
it's
what leads you to make your choices.
exactly yes. I'm Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I learned in kitchens.
Oh yeah, there's just we're all tied into the whole food thing. It's something you do every single day of your life, and it's a way to orchestrate a connection with someone. And whether it's a seduction dinner or it's just going out to dinner with friends and being able to do a face-to-face conversation like this. So for me, food was always a way to be able to be with family, to be with friends, and there's an inextricable kind of connection to food, sexuality, and all of the things that have to do with life. And that's how I got close to people throughout my life.
Mm.
It's really powerful.
It is. I feel like also with, Valentine's Day coming up, the stuffed and dipped strawberries are just like
Hmm.
right on cue for this conversation.
Yes.
It
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
amazing. I heard you say that you worked with Trader Joe's. What was it like? Like how did you get into that, and what was your experience like?
So yeah, I come from the day of the hustle. So when you had a good idea, you couldn't just go online because online didn't exist back then. So if
Right.
you had a good idea and you wanted to pitch it, you had to go out, you had to knock on doors, shake hands, introduce yourself, kind of put it out there. So I had been a chef and I had some really great ideas for recipes that I thought would be marketable. So I contacted Trader Joe's headquarters in Pasadena. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And I said, I have some great items. I think you guys would love selling them. And they said, well, how about you come in next Tuesday at 8 a.m. and bring your stuff? And just that was it. I mean, it was like that kind of easy to be able to get an appointment with like a giant company. And
Wow.
and I was there, and I had all my goodies in tow, and I fed a bunch of people around a boardroom, and there you go. They chose four items, and then I sold them for the next couple of years to Trader Joe's and another big grocer in Southern California.
It sounds like
Crazy.
a very positive experience.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
amazing. It was amazing. So,
That's great.
yeah, it was like you just had to go out there and you had to kind of like tempt people and teach people and show people and let them taste your flavors and hear your words and
I'll
all
be
that.
honest, like I'm an avid Trader Joe's shopper. I literally go there
Yeah.
every single week. And the one thing it does is it opens I know it's a grocery store, but it allows me to try different flavors. I'll give you a great example. I bought this cranberry orange marmalade, cranberry orange, and it has one more flavor. There's one more flavor in there, but I can't remember. It is amazing. It tastes like Coca-Cola. I put it on my bread. It's awesome. I love I love the flavors, and I wouldn't have tried something like that unless I went to a place like that that opened me up to that experience. Like that's something I want to add to the food that I eat in my life. That I want to add to the journey of the things that I'm eating. Like to be honest, who wants the fucking like? I don't want the bland bullshit, man. I want the cool stuff in the store.
You guys are definitely in the groove, and Trader Joe's definitely found their
Ah,
groove early on with their look, their style, their customer service, their product packaging, their artwork, and their flavor. So they
Yeah.
brought it all together, and now we get to benefit by that.
yeah, and it's affordable.
Yeah.
And remember, we have to. It is affordable. Like it's actually cheaper for me to go there than to go to a regular grocery store. It's bananas.
Not a Trader Joe's commercial right here. Not
No,
one
Yeah,
and they're not
bit.
right.
even
Yeah.
sponsoring us.
That's funny. Yeah,
I always like to make dumb jokes. I make a lot of jokes that don't hit from time to time
This
too,
is why
but
we
that one
love
was like it
Carissa.
was okay.
Yeah.
no
It was
crickets
okay.
here,
It was
Carissa. No
okay
crickets
joke.
No.
here.
No.
I don't know.
So,
Hmm.
guys, I have to ask you, since you're both smoking at this moment, what is your drug of choice or your party at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean,
Yes.
right now I have this like homegrown weed that was gifted to me. I have no idea what it is, to be honest. It was just whatever they had left over, and they gave me a big bag of it, and it was free.
Ah,
So I've been rolling it up in my little zigzag papers and making little, filter thingies and just going old school with it. I don't know. So, and then I have just like little vape, little indica. David bought me this battery. sometimes we'll showcase stuff, and be like, this is my, and
No, I
David
mean, like,
had these pre-rolls that he was showing off that was like a specific type that were really nice. But this is just
yeah,
it.
we're
This is
just like,
just basic
so
weed rolled up today.
yeah, for me, like, I'm just smoking, like, I'm also being real old school. It's Purple Haze.
Oh,
That's
you
that.
know what yours is.
Yeah, it's Purple Haze. Like, everybody knows what Purple Haze is. Like, it's a very like OG strain.
Like Jimi
Um,
Hendrix, whose
yeah,
song that is, right?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
Purple
Yeah.
haze.
yes, I believe so. Yes.
Well,
Th-
okay, so you you met and spent time with a lot of celebrities,
Let me
people
ask you. You
that
know what? I want to ask this
Yeah.
question.
that I'm like, whoa.
Did you ever have?
Whoa.
Did you ever have the honor to meet Jimi Hendrix, or you never met him?
He was slightly before my time.
Okay.
So yeah,
Because he died young.
I wasn't aware of him until, I was later on in my teens, and I think he was already gone by then, or he wasn't touring anymore or something like that. But yeah, just a teeny bit before my time. I was more of the Eagles, Pink Floyd, Fleetwood
Okay.
Mac, Supertramp, Rolling
Stooges.
Stones, Zeppelin, Stooges. Yeah, they came along later. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love Zeppelin music. His voice is just absolutely beautiful.
Robert
I
It's
Plant.
have.
Yeah.
yeah, it's really nice to just get lost in it.
I
I
have
find it
literally.
relaxing and energizing at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Person knows this. I have literally every single one of Led Zeppelin's albums on vinyl, including Coda. Okay, that's how hardcore I've
Brag time.
gotten.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
That you deserve a little round of applause, my
Thank you.
friend. So, guys, I wish I had been ready. I would have pulled out the snapshot to show you of
Ooh.
we had two, no, we had three different plants that grew on their own in our backyard that were anywhere from 6 to 10 feet tall.
Oh
Count them.
Wow,
wow.
that's cool.
It's amazing.
They grew
Well,
on their own. What do you
they
mean? Just nature, just boom.
you just never know, right, Carissa? So things happen, and I, put on my
It's
tie-dye
great.
shirt and I posed for the camera, and like it was pretty amazing.
Oh,
Let me
that's
ask you. Let me ask
lets
you
us
something.
live.
What what got you to Hawaii? Because Hawaii is one of those places that like that's a decision, and it's a beautiful place, and I would love to visit one of these days. Um, but what led you to that?
Well, the long answer, and I know we're doing long answers here.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
Born in New York, raised until the age of 10 when my family moved to Los Angeles. They didn't tell me right away, but I caught up with them eventually. And then when the early 90s came around, I moved here to Hawaii, and it was all based on like a love thing, wanting to start a new life. It was after the Rodney King riots had happened in LA, and moved here to Hawaii and began a whole new life of writing, journalism, food
Wow.
writer, um, that kind of thing. My chefing career had ended in Los Angeles. When I came here to Hawaii, I started being a writer and a radio guy. I had one of the very first radio programs that was broadcast live on the internet in 93. We began, called Love Life Radio, and that began my life in Hawaii.
It's crazy.
Wow. It's great to do that for yourself. Like, just be like, I'm gonna start a new life. Like, I'm really happy that, it feels good to see someone else accomplish that.
It was a good time
Uh,
to get out of LA. I'll tell you when I did, it was a smart time to get out of there because it was just crazy from the riots and all that. I don't know how much history you guys know about that, but
Hmm.
yeah, starting a new life is always great, especially when you're not fearful. Of course, you have butterflies, but good kind of stress is actually healthy. And so I was at that good stage of feeling stressful, anxious, and excited.
Healthy stress.
Yeah, that's called
Yeah.
eustress. That's the word Eustress. That's the good kind of stress. The bad kind of stress, when you go over the hill and you come down, that's distress. And that's the kind of stress you don't want to feel.
I want to
That's really cool.
I want to point something out because for me personally, and Carissa knows this because we talked about this. Um, I was very endorsed in my art before I kind of did the podcasting and I kind of went into it more, and I kind of gave up on that part of, kind of changing it up and kind of focusing on this more. Um, from your point, you went from, a chef working and making all of these different foods, and then now, to a writer, and we'll talk about the other part with the Hawaii tours later on. How was that transition for yourself going from that life to the other? I mean, you're talking about good stress, but like the actual transition of changing over, like what was your daily norm?
Well, leaving Los Angeles was tough in the sense where I was leaving behind all my friends that I had grown up with for many, many years, and my mom and my sister. So it was difficult to transplant yourself to another place across an ocean where you only know one person. And so the transition was difficult, but I either gave away everything I owned or sold everything I owned, packed up the rest in 64 1 cubic foot boxes and sent it off to Hawaii, and then along with my car. And then a few weeks later, I collected all my stuff when I was on this side of the ocean of the Pacific.
How long had you lived in Los Angeles before that?
From the age of 10 to the age of 35 or something like that.
So it was mostly LA. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
mostly
you
LA.
spent
And that,
most of your time in LA. Where
well,
were you
now I
before
think
that?
New York.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Born in
That's
New
right.
York, moved to Los Angeles when I was 10,
So,
and then moved
yeah.
here to Hawaii, many years after that. So I've been here for 26 years or something.
So the experience for like your day-to-day life once you got to Hawaii, like how do you know where to start? Like I mean like unpacking into your new place, like I don't even know. Yeah, I moved from the Midwest out to here, and when you tell the story about just like getting rid of everything, like yeah, I did it once, but I did it 10 years ago, and only
Right.
the one time, and I did it on my way to LA. So yeah, I can really relate with the just like putting everything into boxes and just leaving town. It's a very freeing feeling, but it's also very scary.
Yeah, it can be. Where are you now? Where did you
I'm in Los
relocate to?
Angeles.
You're in LA.
I'm in Van Nuys.
Oh,
Yeah,
Van
in
Nuys.
the valley.
I lived right by Van Nuys and Moore Park.
Yeah, uh-huh. I work right around there as well. Yep, that's the valley. That's
That
where I'm at.
The place where I lived on Vista Del Monte in Los Angeles was a little really cool apartment with the whole front, just one big window. You'd walk in
That's cool.
and it looked down on a Frank Lloyd Wright house, and it was
What?
right next to a street where Marilyn Monroe lived for a number of years. So it was pretty cool part of the
Oh.
valley, and it probably still is.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've got a thing for Frank Lloyd Wright houses.
Oh, so
Hmm.
they just go right up 1 block west on Moore Park off of Van Nuys.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you're saying on the other side of Ventura Boulevard, like, is it like towards the Hollywood Hills?
It's no, it's the other way. It's north,
The
one
other
block
way. Yeah,
north of
I'm just
Ventura,
surprised.
Moore Park. Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
have I
I'm
never
surprised that there's a house there
why have I
that's
never seen this? Like, because I lived
well, they
in
don't list the Frank Lloyd Wright houses. You have to kind of know where they are. A lot of
S-
them are not listed.
So go there.
Yeah.
Vista Del Monte at Moore Park, right at that corner.
You're like, go there. Yeah.
yeah,
Vista
go
Del
stalk
Monte.
somebody's
I would have
house.
to like write it down. Yeah, you think someone's living in it? Oh my
You know what we should
God.
do,
Oh yeah.
Carissa? We should go
Ooh,
get raincoats and we
beautiful.
should get binoculars and just go to their house, like by the bushes on the top. Just like have the binoculars with the raincoat hat on top, and just like, and like they can see us through the window, like with our binoculars, with our raincoats, and with our rain
Mm.
hats on top.
Okay, that sounds great. I don't have any of those things. I don't have binoculars, raincoats, jackets, any of it. I don't have anything
We
like
might get
that.
arrested, but it's okay. We got arrested for a good reason.
Carissa, are you in any way disturbed that Dave seems so comfortable with that concept?
Okay, David is gonna come out to LA and visit. So we've been both like coming up with ideas about things to do, but I think we could
It's
go look
not
at
to
the
get
Frank Lloyd Wright
arrested, might
house.
I add.
Oh, we won't get arrested. Nobody cares what we're doing. We're
Oh
just
my
two
God.
idiots.
Yes, that's true.
And Dave, what part of
Uh,
the world are you in?
Well, I currently reside in southern Florida, aka Blue Country and red state. So, it's real nice out here. The only issue is traffic. Like the traffic is just as bad as LA, so it kind of makes it difficult to get around. But my situation is a little bit different. I mean, like Karissa knows, like I'm primarily down here because of my mom. So
And what is it about mom?
my dad
Um,
passed away from the I can't say it because with the monetization and the stuff, but the pandemic and yeah.
I could tell you weren't like a Florida native because you said Southern Florida, and people don't refer to it as that. Usually they say South Florida. So where are you really from?
he's from New York.
Yeah, I'm originally from New York. So the thing about me is like I'm trash hippie New York. Like I grew up in Rockland County, which is right outside of the country, like right next to Jersey. So we seem like we're clean and gentlemen. Like no, we're trash. We drive pickup trucks. We drive through the snow. You know, our dads are construction workers and plumbers.
Very blue collar stuff.
Yeah, we're working class. Yeah,
That's cool, man. You know, that's the heartbeat of America.
it is. It really is.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like from my experience, like I want to get into more about this. Like you as um you as a chef, like especially when it comes to cooking. You mentioned your mom, but can you elaborate more on this? Because like what inspired you to want to make a whole career about cooking and making food and being a part of that?
I think I knew I was going to be doing something with food early on, like I said, because I used to see how much joy food brought to the family. And when we got together and sat down, and how awesome it was always to share food and share words and feelings with folks. So, after being with the rock and roll bands for a number of years, I was probably about 22, and I thought to myself, I'm a little bit burnt out. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? And that's when I decided at that moment, since I had loved being in London and around Europe so much, I thought maybe I'll go to school here in London and become a chef. And so that's what I did. I went to Le Cordon Bleu, which is a very high-end culinary establishment, and got my diploma in culinary arts, and then returned to Los Angeles and became a real chef.
Wow. Where did you stay while you were in school in London?
Uh,
London, right?
yeah, yeah, in a hostel in South
Wow.
Kensington. Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I was so like, what are some of the things that you took from school that you really like took to heart, that you learned there that you liked?
Well, I learned that I loved London even more than I had thought
Wow.
previously, and I learned all about the not only the art of cooking, but also, I guess, the balance that food plays in your life, and how to share with people, and how to be able
Mm.
to live an enjoyable experience in blending music and color and art and aroma and fragrance and plate architecture and all of
Hmm.
that together in a very old world community.
Mm.
If you take a salad, okay, people think that salads are easy. All you do is you just take a few, like, lettuce, and you throw this shit in there, and you throw that salmon, you throw on some balsamic vinegar, and you call it a day. No. You know how you make a salad? You take some arugula, you take some watercress, you take some baby lettuce or butter lettuce. Okay. You take that and you mix it with a little bit of lemon, salt, pepper, olive oil. You let it just soak just a little bit. You take some either like a goat cheese or a manchego. You can get something like that. You could put that on the side. Um, Add some fruits. Where am I going with this? My point I'm trying to go with this is that you can look at food as being easy, but you can also look at it as a complex dish. It's the same
I feel
thing.
like if you're gonna make it your profession, And it's, I mean, from what I know about you, being a very passionate person, I it comes together. It makes sense. Like I'm like, okay, like you're not gonna just cook food. Like you're gonna look at the architecture of it. You're gonna like, like look at the whole story, have it tell a story, like all of it and how it affects the human. And I mean that kind of yeah, from what I know about you, it seems like it's a more advanced way of looking at food than most of us are used to. I've never met anybody with that much talent, like on a personal level, with food. So I'm like, wow.
It's really a
Um,
great thing
yeah.
to be mindful about food. When you see people eating, they're just eating because it's like an ability they have, but they're not tasting stuff, and they no one ever taught them how to taste. No one ever taught them how to savor, whether it's flavor or friendship or music. People don't really take the time to be mindful about the things that they're doing in their life. And that's one of the stops I took along the way many, many times to learn the art of the eat and the art of the listen and the art of the friendship. And that's important to take the time out and to be mindful with whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
That certainly is inspiring. Like, yeah, I feel like a lot of things that I cook are just stuff that's been passed down, that stuff my grandma used to make, stuff that my dad makes, like, and it's just
Hmm.
kind of our basic family recipes. Honestly, we're all pretty basic.
But
We
that's
don't do
very
anything too
special.
fancy,
Basics basics fine. Fancy is not necessarily where it's at. It's whatever the person you're cooking for loves to eat. So if I were to cook for you, Dave, or you, Carissa, I would cook the things that you wanted, unless you said, "Hey, Matthew, go ahead and make me something special out of the blue." But normally, what I'm all about is taking care of my audience, no matter where they are.
I
Mm.
always, I mean, I'd want to try something new. I'd be like, whatever you suggest. But yeah, I
It's
mean,
true.
for
It's
myself,
true.
I just steam vegetables and rice. That's like all I do all the time.
It,
Hmm.
it's true though because like we the both of us, me and Carissa, we've gone out and tried different experiences on purpose. We've done this before. Like, hey, let's try that. Let's I don't know, let's try. And I think majority of the time we actually were positive, like we were happy that we tried something new. And the cool thing is we learned something new about each other. We realized like a new flavor palette that we liked or something that we haven't tried before that we can add that we actually like.
hmm
For example, like
Yeah. I
with the
see how
cheese and
this
the
can be
wine.
like, yeah, cheese and wine. Sorry, I
Mm-hmm.
see how this can be like a friendship kind of thing. Cause like I think about all the friendships that I have and I think about all the foods that I've tried. And, honestly, one of the people that stand out to me is like one of my old friends, Joff. He used to cook for our like friend group every weekend and he would just like make all this food and I was like starving, but he would make food that was completely different than food that I would have for myself. But like in our friendship, I tried all this food that he makes and I learned that I love so many different things that I didn't know. And so like I can see how food, like if you try what each other makes, like you've shared a lot of things with me as well. Food and friendship really go together, I guess is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm getting at. And
Yeah.
I see it more now.
Yeah, and it's something that, you'll have for the rest of your life. You'll have the opportunity and ability to be able to share and exchange great information and ideas with other people while eating food and being mindful of the flavor and the friendship at the same time instead of one or the other.
Hmm.
All about the connection, baby. No, and like this is something to tie into, which is where it's always great to watch those television shows of all this like incredible like cooking shows and all these like contests and all this bullshit, and they're great. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's fun to watch this, but the core of it is that we've created food as a way of bonding. It's a way that I can say this personally because like my family, my father was Moroccan, and the whole thing is like food and family is a very important part of our culture. That it's not ancient. This is a crucial part. Matthew, if you want to, you touch more on this. Um, how how important food is to culture and community and to society, more than
It's
just yeah.
it's everything. It's at the core. It's at the root of every connection. Every place has its own culture, has its own peoples, has its own flavors or spices or whatever might be available to them, and that's what kind of separates one place from another when you can talk about the people and you talk about the taste and you talk about all of the things that make a place be a place is oftentimes its taste. When I've traveled in my life, I've always wanted to go, you know, I want to go visit museums and galleries and buildings and so on. But the most important thing to me was to know where I was going to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I wanted to know the restaurants that were at the destinations I was planning on visiting. And that was always a very important part of travel, even before the internet. When I was doing that, I wanted to know. When I went to Morocco, Dave, and went all over Morocco, I learned about their food. I learned about their spices. And, it's just an amazing experience. Every place you go, you have that. And so that's a big, long historical storyline that you can follow and you can trace back to ancient societies, is whatever foods might be available at this time.
Mm.
Yeah. You know what? I maybe this is a good time to talk about Hawaii tours because I'm actually very curious because I sent over to Carissa the website and I kind of went through it just a little bit, but I want to hear more. Um, I mean, is it still going on or like it no long no it no longer.
Yeah, it got crushed by the COVID shit show back in 2020. So it became a very famous business, though, from 2004 when I started it to 2020 when COVID ended it. It was quite the experience because that's what I got to do every single day. I got to feed, educate, and entertain people from all over the world who were visiting Hawaii. So they trusted me to show them about the food and the flavor and the culture and the history and the architecture. And that was something that I took to heart. And that's why now, all these years later, some of my best friends in the world are people who originally came on my tour as a guest of mine. And now, all these years later, we're best friends.
Wow, damn. I
So
mean,
yeah,
it,
that people want to know what's good. When, I would say first thing I would tell them is no chain restaurants, and let me take you on a nice journey today. And that's really what it was. It was kind of a journey and a social experiment at the same time. But it was all based on food at the core. But now, if you were to take those people from 2004, which is close to 20 years ago, and you ask them about my tours, they would say, I don't remember what I ate that day with Mathew, but I remember it was a great day. And that makes me feel cool, really good.
Mm. That's really great. Yeah, you're a entrepreneur. You've created a business, an experience for people. Thought of something that you're good at, and then just like did what comes natural to you, which I think, I mean, it's really incredible. So it sounds like okay, so did you cook for them as well or show them the restaurants in the local area? Kind of was it a mixture of both or
I didn't cook on the Hawaii food tours, but I escorted them, I entertained them, I educated them, I took them into the kitchens of our restaurant partners, and everything and anything about the food or the culture or the clothing or the architecture, I was your guy because I learned all about Hawaii
cool?
history. So when people came there, they had a much richer experience, a much more full experience.
Yeah, it's good to have somebody kind of
how
translate
many
everything for you.
how many? Mommy asking, how many days was the tour for? Was it like 2, 3 days, or was it like just a day?
The tours were individual, but we ran the tours 7 days a week, and we had two or three different tours running at any given time.
Oh
Like you
wow.
said,
Yeah.
so you had people working for you as
Yeah, I
well.
had several employees over those many years.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's
it
cool.
was very cool. So we had like a North Shore tour, which was more kind of local style Hawaiian, and we had an in-town city tour that had kind of like a Chinatown vibe and a city vibe and a beachy vibe. So there were a lot of different kind of styles of tours that we put together with different foods and different locations.
Wow.
It's kind of sucks because like if Carissa, like if we went
I
to
can't do
Hawaii,
it. Yeah, I can't
we
do it anymore.
like we would have
You got
totally
me.
like, oh yeah,
Oh
we
my
do have
God, you
you.
just take us?
You just take us. Oh my God.
Okay, great.
Damn.
You know, if you can't go on the Hawaii food tours, at least you know you got me. So you can call me up and we'll go out and eat.
Oh my God, yes,
Oh,
Can
that
you
would be
I've been wanting
amazing.
to go to Hawaii really bad. Like,
can you
I
guys see the
decided
license
that I
plate
would
behind me?
go. I see
Yes.
it. I wanted to
I was
ask about it.
That was from my
curious.
It's
tour van.
beautiful.
That was from the Hawaii Food Tours van. It
Oh,
says "Eat" on it. So I don't know if we're just a podcast or if we're also on YouTube at this time, but
Yes, we are.
okay,
we're
cool. So
both.
everybody can see
Yeah.
that. So that's my license plate. I'm never giving it up.
No,
You
it's
shouldn't.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
I didn't know that the Hawaii license plate had a rainbow on it.
Yeah, yeah. Hawaii and rainbows are a very popular connection. And the name of the college, the University of Hawaii's football team was the Rainbow Warriors. So
Cool.
Wow.
yeah, the rainbow is a real big thing in Hawaii because you get to see them all the time. And I'll tell you an interesting story or a factoid about rainbows. You only see them in the early morning or the very late afternoon. You don't see them
Interesting.
during the midday, and that's because of the angle of the sun.
Oh,
That's crazy.
damn. I mean, like, I'll tell you this from my experience. I kind of live in paradise because I live here in Florida, and it is like paradise out here. I mean, it's
Aside from the
all
traffic.
besides the traffic, like there's tons of palm trees. It's always sunny. The clouds are always beautiful. I can understand like Hawaii also being the same thing where you always like have these beautiful trees and these beautiful clouds. Of course, there's going to be rain and stuff because it's an island, and but just being in that environment, it must really enhance, your positivity, your outlook, the way you interact.
Everybody loves a beautiful picture,
Yes, of
and
course.
yeah, you know, it all depends on the person, of course, because some people really dig an urban vibe, and you
Yes.
can get that here, and some people like the mountain vibe, and you know, I live in the tree house, and so I have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, all kind of like nestled into the hillside, and everybody can get whatever they want wherever they are. But yeah, you know, Hawaii has a very, very special look to it and a very, very special feel.
Mm.
Okay. Damn. I want to go.
You should
Yeah,
go.
now we
Yeah.
both just like are
Hop on
fantasizing
board a
about
plane, you
going.
guys. I mean, what's life about, right? You should do what you want to do. So, you know, all I ever really wanted in this life was to be able to have enough money to hop on board an airplane and fly to wherever I wanted to go. And, you know,
Oh.
that's kind of it's a good goal. It's not asking for too much. And
No.
so if you want to go somewhere, you should go there.
And
Life is too
Goals.
sweet and too delicious to not.
Oh, no.
you'd never leave Hawaii. That's where you plan to stay.
Oh no, I'll leave. I'll
Oh.
definitely leave. Yeah, I'll keep traveling and
Well,
keep
you'll
doing my thing.
travel,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
Hawaii will stay your home, is my question.
You know, I'm not certain of that. I haven't really
Oh,
decided. It's
okay.
everything is for me. Everything is very, very fluid. I'm able to do and be and go where I want. So I'm not connected here for any reason, especially now that 2020 has gone and so has my Hawaii food tours. But I've been here for a long time. I'm connected, and for those who are planning on coming to Hawaii, I did release a book called The Ultimate Eater's Guide, the Hawaii edition, back at last
Wow.
Valentine's Day. So it's just about 1 year old. And if you're interested in learning about Hawaii, about the food, about some travel hacks and stuff like that, where to go and what to do, you can always pick up a copy of that. It's at my
I'll tell you what.
website. Yeah,
If
Congratulations on that.
if
thanks.
you can, we'll email after this. If you can send me over the links, I like to do this. I'll add it into the description so if anybody
Yeah.
wants to find it. they'll be able to.
Oh,
Cool.
that's amazing. Yeah, well, it's
Yes.
just great that you put all of your hard earned knowledge into something that someone can buy and, like read. And now it's
It's
all
an
documented,
ultimate
like great places
guide.
to go.
Carissa, it's an
Yeah.
ultimate guide. Okay.
It's a
It's not a
book.
guide, it's an ultimate guide.
It's for the ultimate eater in you. So it's
Yes.
Ultimate Eater's Guide. So if you like to eat, and who doesn't, you need to get the Ultimate Eater's Guide in Hawaii, right?
Love it.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
great.
It's amazing. And it's
Well,
really, something, and I think this is important to bring up is the message that we're bringing of the positivity, the way of sharing food, the way of connecting to it. Um, and I really appreciate you being able to bring that experience to the table. It's amazing. So thank you.
oh man, this is great fun. You guys really have a great broadcast. How long have you been doing this?
Um, 2 years now. It's been quite rocky. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but the incredible thing is I have really really good friends and people that care about me tremendously, and I care about them tremendously. And I think this is just important to bring up. It's just the message that you want to bring. You don't have to say it; it shows it.
So Dave, can we explore the whole Rocky thing you just mentioned for a moment?
Yeah,
What's
well,
Rocky?
Rocky,
Rocky, like
Ro-
what kind?
Rocky Balboa.
Well, you had just mentioned it's been a
Bullwinkle.
rocky ride for 2 years. Are
Oh,
you talking about personally? Are you talking
oh, that's what you
about
mean. Oh, sorry. I thought that's what I was, sorry. So that's anyway. Yeah.
Give me the tea.
It's been rocky primarily because ever since my dad passed away, and with me moving down here and the constant changes, and like I mentioned earlier, I pretty much gave up on my entire art business about a year ago, and primarily focused into this. I can kind of relate where I, again I you spent a lot more time than I did. You spent years working on this. I just spent a short period. But when you spend your time working on something, and it falls apart.
hmm
I like it's a horrible feeling, and it just
I know
you
what you
move
mean. I
you,
definitely know what that's like.
you move on, but you really move on.
So,
Yeah.
Dave, you sharing this is really important, and it's because you definitely need to, and it's going to help people who are listening and watching right now. And you kind of have dovetailed into what I'm doing now since COVID. And in this past couple few years, I'm now into this stage of my life where I just want to help people like you and Carissa and all the people who are watching right now, because I'm probably 2 to 3 times older than you and your audience. And so I'm in a place where I understand a lot more than I used to. And so I'm at a place also that I'm happy to share a lot of the good things in life and help people get over humps and distress and anxiety about their rocky pasts or their current time. And so if there's anything I can do to help you personally, Dave and Carissa, and anyone who's watching us right now, my phone number is right on my website. If you just want to call and have a chat, I'm totally open to that. And so if I can help anyone out there right now watching us, call me up, text me, email me. I'm totally available.
That's a beautiful thing to offer to people, and the confidence is beautiful too. Yeah, I mean, Dave, when you say Rocky Past, I mean, what comes to mind is, and I don't want to like blast David's situation, but when he says Rocky Past, what comes to mind for me is having misunderstandings, disagreements with other people that have been um close ties in the podcast itself. I mean, even David and I, our schedules have clashed at different times, and it's hard to get things rolling. I mean, he's not doing this completely alone. He likes to collaborate with people. But when he says Rocky, I don't know what he means, but
Mm.
I mean, these are the things that I see that are difficult.
She
But
knows.
go on,
She
David.
knows. She knows. She says she doesn't know. She knows.
Well, I don't know everything,
No, I know. I know.
Yeah.
But it's just a word. You want to phrase the word as you like. You can. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think with that, we can wrap up. Like I said, it's
David will not talk about himself. It's
no,
basically,
no.
but I was like, get some help. Like, I mean, like he's offering. But if you want to call him, another time, that's fine too. But
Dave, we'll talk off the air.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk. We'll talk off the air, man.
friend.
And Carissa, you and I will continue.
Okay. Sure, that's fine.
All right. Well, everybody, this has been a blast. Again, thank you so much for coming on, Mathew, and Krista. You're awesome as always. And make sure to behave, be nice, and we love everybody. You guys, you girls, and non-binary people. Bye, everybody.
Hey guys, one last question.
Yes.
Are we going to start the broadcast now?
It was great having you on.
Carry your spoons, guys. You don't want to miss one drop away.
Hey. Good point of wisdom. Bye, everybody.